All right, so welcome everyone to our UVA Pipelines and Pathways Career Building 101 workshop series. So we've been doing these once a month for over a year now on topics that are related to professional development and career growth. And so today we're super excited to have one on personal branding because your image and how people perceive you is one of the most important things that impact your career and your development. Again, my name is Holly Lee with UVA Pipelines and Pathways. I do have a couple members from the Pipelines and Pathways team who would like for them to quickly introduce themselves as well.
Hi, everyone. My name is Claudio Otero, and I'm an opportunity navigator with the Pipelines and Pathways team.
Hey everyone, my name is Elijah Harrison, and I'm also an opportunity navigator with the Pipelines and Pathways team. Thank you all for being here.
And today is meant to be interactive, so definitely feel free to put questions in the chat box, raise your hand, or even unmute yourself. It's a smaller group, so feel free to do that. If at any point in time you want to come off of your hidden camera and show your face, we'd also love to see you as well. So with that, I'm going to just hand this over to Sydney Schuler. So she is the communication specialist with the Equity Center here at the University of Virginia. We're super excited that she's here with us. I've had a chance to really kind of just sit back and observe a lot of her work that she's done with the Equity Center. It's been very impactful in our local community. So we're very excited to have you here today, Sydney. I'm just going to hand it over to you.
Thank you so much, Holly, for that very kind introduction. I appreciate it. And thank you all so much for joining us today. I'm really excited to dive into personal branding, digital branding, and how we can kind of combine those two and maximize them to access some more opportunities for networking, for jobs, and whatever you desire. Um, so good afternoon. As I said, welcome. Um, Over the next, I guess, 80 minutes or so, this workshop, I hope, will help you discover key skills for building your personal brand, such as professional online etiquette, the significance of digital branding, and key components of a high-quality digital brand. We'll explore strategies for showcasing your work, creating impactful content, and leveraging tools to build a strong professional brand that aligns with your personal one. Um, you'll discover, I hope, the best social media platforms for networking and leave with the knowledge to forge valuable connections. Um, and whether you're a job seeker, an entrepreneur, or an inspiring thought leader, I hope this workshop will empower you to stand out in the digital crowd by just owning your personal brand and I hope that it'll open doors for exciting new opportunities for you. As Holly said, if you have questions at any point during this workshop, please drop them in the chat. I'm happy to answer them as they come up, but I've also created some pausing points for us to address any questions and review the materials for each section. How does that sound to everyone? Thumbs up. Awesome. Thank you so much. Um, so, like Holly said, my name is Sydney Schuler. I have been the communications specialist with the Equity Center at UVA for the past year and a half. And since I started, I've created and established the Equity Center's brand and online identity, from the colors and fonts that we work with to the language that we use to describe our work online and in publicly facing settings. Um, I've kind of just worked to put all that into a neat box, tie it with a bow so that it can be uh, understood by anybody that we partner with, collaborate with, or just speak to about our work. I work to keep the center's brand consistent, and we'll talk about brand consistency a little later in this presentation, in this workshop. And my responsibilities include designing and posting social media content and keeping our website current. So I'll actually drop a link to the Equity Center's website in the chat if you'd like to explore that on your own time. So I'm going to share my screen now and we can dive into a guide to personal branding and professional development. Thank you for your patience. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's from the world of too many tabs. Okay, and are you all seeing a white and blue screen that says a guide to personal branding for professional development. I picked the title, but it's a tongue twister. Okay, great. Again, welcome. I've just introduced you to myself, but I'd love to learn a little bit about you all on this call. So if we could just do a round of popcorn with your name, occupation, and what you hope to learn from this workshop. And forgive me, I'm not sure about the pronunciation of your name. Giedr.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Deirdre. Yeah, I'm here because I would like to try to apply for a job or internship at UVA, and I live in US only 2 years. I was studying English very intensive, so everything quite new for me, and I think I will learn something from today.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. Do you want to pass it to another person?
I'm just any next person, please.
Lori, can you give us your intro, name, occupation, and what you hope to learn today?
Lori says her microphone is not working, but Lori Epic with DARS, that's Department of Aging and Rehab Services. She's looking for information to, Lori, looking for information to help clients who want self-employment opportunities, and her microphone is not working. So sorry about that, Lori.
Thank you, Lori and Holly. Teamwork makes the dream work. Really happy to have you here, Lori. Thanks so much. Awesome. And Diane Wilkins. Holly, I think you might have mentioned that microphone's not.
Hello, I'm Diane, and can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. We can.
Great. I am a workforce development specialist. I'm here in Chesterfield, Virginia, and I am looking for ways to share with our program participants in the employability skills class about how they might brand themselves in terms of being able to look for opportunities, whether it's for work or for self-employment.
Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here and thanks for sharing with us. So I'm hearing job opportunities, taking some of this info to other people who are interested and can benefit from learning more about personal branding and establishing their brand. So thank you so much. And I hope that we can cover a lot of what you're interested in today. As I said, please drop questions as they come to you. I'm happy to answer questions and definitely connect after this call too if there's anything lingering. All right. So during this workshop, we will identify your personal brand. So we'll go through what a personal brand is, the definition of a digital brand, how they work together and why they're important. And Holly alluded to that a little earlier when she said the way that you're perceived is super important in any space. And that's kind of what all this comes down to, but we'll dig into that a little bit more. We'll create a plan for how you want to present yourself online. So we'll have you consider what information you'd like to share, the people, organizations, companies, and industries that you'd like to connect with, and how often you'd like to share updates. And that can be weekly, monthly, quarterly, really whatever works for you. Consistency is really the name of the game, and you'll hear me say that a lot more today. And I'll also share some pretty easy to use tools for publishing your content, posting your content on social media and other online platforms. So branding, what is it? Branding is the process of intentionally defining and promoting your value and reputation. And so I've been describing or using two terms. So we'll start with personal branding. Personal branding is really who you are. Um, it's the process of purposely showing off your work, values, and talents to become known as an expert in your field. Um, and so I want to walk you through this graphic on the right. Personal branding is being radically authentic, working in the name of your purpose, inspiring others to follow their story, contributing something valuable to the world, getting intentional about your online presence. Um, and we will assess values in just one moment. But this is really just who you are to your core, and what motivates you to step into the work that you're interested in, to step into the rooms, to network with folks that you're interested in connecting with. What really drives you, that's your personal brand. Now, digital branding is how you present yourself online. So it's really how your personal brand translates to a public platform. And these are important because branding influences perceptions, enhances career opportunities, and builds professional credibility. Now, personal branding does the same thing, right? In your day-to-day experiences, the way that you interact with people, sets the tone for future opportunities to connect with those individuals in the future. Digital branding is just the same on a larger stage. There are more people online, so more opportunities to connect with more people and opportunities. Um, so I would actually like for you all to think for a moment about the folks that you've worked with in your entire career, from your first job to your most recent one. Um, think about your interactions with those coworkers. Think about the projects that you've worked on and the way that you've stepped into them. Um, I want you to think about the way that you were treated and wanted to be treated in those situations, the way that you treated others in those situations, and then take a look at the image link that I just shared in the chat. And take just a minute or so to review some of those words and think of the ones that stand out to you. Um, how do you want the people you work with to describe you? And take a minute to review this, and then as you see words or think of words that you'd like to describe you or you believe describe you, please drop them in the chat. We'll take a minute or so on this one. We finding some good ones. Good. You can just give a thumbs up when you feel like your list is in a good place. Great. Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so we have reliable from Claudio. Claudio, can you just speak for a moment on what that word means to you and why you'd like the people that you work with to describe you as reliable?
Oh yeah, for sure. So growing up as an uh as an older brother, living in a single parent home. I've always been looked at as the reliable one in my household. Um, so when I go into places that I work in, I want people around me to also look at me as the reliable one or as anyone they can come to when they have a problem, or someone who can just give solutions or just comfort you throughout the day because sometimes life gets hard.
Mhm.
Yeah, reliable in a lot of aspects.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I'm so sorry. Can you give the pronunciation of your name again? I'm gonna get it. I will.
That's okay, no problem. Giedrė.
Yelda.
Giedrė.
Gotcha. And you have creative, resourceful, honest, kind, and determined. Um, you don't have to walk us through every single one, but why would you like to be described this way professionally?
I was a graphic designer for many years, and I really appreciated creativity, side of creativity in this area. I was quite good at getting new ideas and also at finding some new ways how to solve the problem. I just appreciated very much some new ways and that
Awesome.
people can find how to, and find different ideas for making for creating their assignment.
Amazing.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
if they need, to solve some problem just in the job, in collaboration, so that's why. And also I really appreciated kindness and cooperation between people. So no, without conflicts.
Fantastic. Great answers. And Diane, dependable, dynamic, resilient, and supportive. Um, I know it's a little noisy where you are, so if it's not a good time to come off mute, that's fine. But if you can, why did you choose these words and what do they mean to you in your work?
Dependable because I want people to be able to count on you, and dynamic, definitely not boring, being outgoing and being able to get things done, and resilient and standing the test of time, and support because I want those that I serve to be able to have someone that's supportive of them and getting the resources and things that they need and be resourceful.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Holly, dependable, authentic, competent, and professional. Can you walk us through what these values mean to you in your work?
Sure. So, just the team and our participants knowing that we're there to, help them whenever they need it. Being, that I always say, if you've seen me once, you've seen me, anytime. This is me. I'm not different in inside work, outside work. Competent is really important that people, feel like we know what we're doing, so that we can help them. And then professional. So I always try to be very, very professional and make sure that people again feel that we are, able to truly help them and serve them.
Beautiful. Very accurate descriptions, I might add. And Jessica Harris. Jessica is the Assistant Director of Community Research at the Equity Center, and a dear coworker, if I can just brag on her for a moment. But Jess, you have supportive, sincere, dependable, authentic, and competent. Can you explain to us what these values mean in your work? If you're able to come off mute, if not, no worries. Okay, no worries. Lori, you have authentic. Sure. Lori asked if I can share a copy of this information. I can share the slides with you as well as the reference links that I'm dropping in the chat after this call. If that's helpful, I can share the information with Holly. Great. Thank you, Holly, and thank you, Lori, for that question. Oh, And there's your response right there. Great, authentic and kind. I'm just reading Lori's explanation. She says, I believe it is important to connect with people who may be struggling in a way that they feel safe to discuss their struggles. And thank you all so much for sharing this with me. You've illustrated the point I was trying to make perfectly, which is that your personal brand it's almost impossible to leave your personal brand and values at the door when you step into work. You approach your work with the things that are important to you. Um, Holly said that she is the same. If you met her once, you met her all the times. If it's at work or if it's outside of work, she's still carrying herself in a way that is true to her. And I heard all of you say the same. It sounds like your goals and the way that you want to be received and perceived at work aligns with who you are as a person. And that's a super important thing to hold on to and stay consistent with, whether you're practicing your branding in person or online. Okay. So discovering your unique value, and as per the last activity, it sounds like a lot of you are aware of it, which is a beautiful thing. Identifying your strengths, skills, and passions, um, like reliability, like competence, like creativity. Um, Identifying these things and being confident in them for yourself is one of the most important things to approach your branding journey with, whether it's an interview, whether it's a LinkedIn post. You want to be confident in the things that you know that you know. And these are the things that make you unique from other candidates. They're your hard and soft skills, which I will also share with you here just for your reference. We don't have to do anything with this at the moment. But just for reference, those are also good things to just always have at front of mind. Defining your professional goals. So what do you hope to achieve by establishing your brand? And what are your SMART goals? So if you aren't familiar with SMART goals, they are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals. These are common for organizations or departments to complete at the beginning of the year or the end of the year to just set the tone for the goals and the themes that are going to follow them through each project collaboration and all those good things. And knowing your target audience. So who do you want to share your news with when you've started a new job or are part of a new project? If you're volunteering with a new organization, who do you want to receive that news? Now, your family and friends might be on that list, and they're super important to you as a person, but would you also like to connect with more of your peers in the industry locally or beyond your locality? Would you like to find out about the employers out there that are hiring for jobs in the industry that you're interested in? Who do you want to share your news with to start to build a connection that will be worth your while? And finally, review your previous experience. And I had you reflect on that a moment ago for this reason. What previous experiences prepared you to excel in your current career and in your next step even? So now that we have an understanding of what your personal brand is, how that translates or how that should translate to a digital brand online, let's start to kind of build that out a little bit, or at least start to think about it. So the building blocks of digital branding are simple, at least to start. You want to start with a professional headshot. This is a high quality, approachable image a friendly smile or, friendly face, um, flat, solid color background, as you can see in this picture on the left. His before picture is great, super friendly, but the after looks like he took an intentional step to secure this part of his brand, which goes a long way with employers and folks that you would be looking to connect with. Um, Pipelines and Pathways actually presents a good amount of opportunities to take a free headshot. And Holly, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the next free headshot opportunity will be at the spring UVA Career and Community Fair on,
Correct.
I think that's supposed to say March 11th, right? March 11th from 1:30 to
Right.
4 p.m. And I can include that information in my follow-up email, and I'm sure you'll get some info from Holly as that date approaches. But I would always seek out opportunities to take new and updated headshots, whether it's your organization uh, is hosting those, whether it's an organization like Pipelines and Pathways. If you know someone with a camera and a nice background, keeping those current is super important and just looks great when it comes to your digital branding. Consistent messaging means making your intentions clear across platforms. If you are a graphic designer seeking projects with educational organizations, you want to keep that title, that theme, and that intention consistent on all of your platforms. So in your bio on Facebook, that information should be in there on Instagram. It should also be in there on LinkedIn and so on and so forth. And we'll dive into that a little bit more in a bit. But we want to be consistent with our messaging. It can get confusing to employers, potential clients. If you're a graphic designer on one account and a photographer on another, we love multi-passionate and multi-hyphenate individuals and encourage that. But we still want to be consistent. If your messaging is that you're a multi-passionate, multi-hyphenate, then that should be your messaging throughout your platforms. Thank you, Holly. Thank you for dropping that. Holly included more information about the free headshots in the chat if you'd like to take a look at that. And building online platforms, profiles. I mean, there's no digital branding if you don't have a profile on a platform that you are comfortable using on the schedule that you'd like. So start with what's familiar. If you're already on Facebook, start your rebranding or start establishing your brand on there. Include your title in there. If you're seeking a job or seeking opportunities, change your bio to reflect that. Once you take an updated and high quality headshot, make that your profile picture. We love to see the pictures from Disney or from vacation. Those are awesome. But if you're looking to establish yourself, in light of your professional brand, we want to make sure that the profiles align with that. And a headshot is one of the easiest ways to do that. So why digital branding matters. We touched on this earlier, but the process of creating a brand's online presence and identity across multiple digital channels the payoff can be great. You make great connections, you connect with more folks in your industry. But what you put into it is just as important. And this is important because it influences perceptions, exactly what Holly said earlier. Translating your professional identity to online platforms to give your audience a better idea of who you are and what you represent kind of fills those gaps that maybe weren't addressed on, say, a job application or a grant application. So you can control how you're perceived a little bit more even than in person when you establish your digital brand, excuse me. It enhances career opportunities. As I said earlier, there are so many more people online than people that you meet with day to day in your day to day. So making connections with employers to learn about new opportunities and connecting with hiring managers without being restricted by location can open up a whole new door that you didn't even know was there. Um, and maintaining your digital brand just builds professional credibility in the same way that the headshots send a message that you care about your personal, professional, and digital brand. Maintaining an account, a public account of how your career is progressing, um, gives you credibility. It shows that you're not just a committed individual, but you're committed to growing in the industry or in the field that you're interested in. I just want to pause and address Lori's comment in the chat. Some people are developing a Facebook page. They do not want to invest in developing a singular website. What may be the cons to this? Um, that's a fantastic question. So for beginners, and we'll explore this a little bit in a few slides, so I won't dive into it too much quite yet. But for beginners, I would not necessarily suggest purchasing a website until you're familiar creating and maintaining a free one. And there are plenty of platforms that will allow you to create a free website that come with templates where you can plug in your images, your experience, your information, links to your other social media pages for free. And I would say once you get comfortable using a platform like that, then it would make more sense to consider developing a singular website and establishing your own domain. Sure, yes. In a couple of slides coming right at you. Thank you, Lori. So crafting your own online profiles. LinkedIn is the most popular and most effective social media platform specifically for job seekers and and employers. So, Holly, I'm sorry, you're just all of the examples today. But this is an example of a very well done, consistent LinkedIn profile. So can I just want to see all of you? Can I just get maybe like a raise of hands? How many of you have LinkedIn profiles already? Amazing. Okay, love to see it. Love to see it. Great. Okay, so you're familiar with the platform. And you can just hop off mute. How often would you say that you post on LinkedIn?
I
I
honestly,
post once. Oh, I post like once a month, but I'll usually repost like what Pipelines and Pathways posts or anything relevant to like, career fairs.
Great, thank you.
thing, I usually I need to get on it more, but I usually repost things that Pipelines and Pathways repost. Um, and then try to highlight some of the posts that I'm in as well.
Mhm.
Just to show people what I do with Pipelines and Pathways.
Awesome. So once a month, and you said you try to do once a month, but kind of sporadically sometimes, Claudio. Okay. Anyone else? How often do we post? Or do we just not post? And that's okay too. Okay. Um, well, I'm glad to know that you're all familiar with LinkedIn, with the platform in general. This makes it a little easier to walk through. But there are really four key items that you want to include in your online profiles. That's a headline. So as you can see on Holly's, she has her name, and right under, um, she is an innovative economic and workforce development professional. Um, and as we can see, or as we know, her formal title is the director of programming director, I believe, of UVA Pipelines and Pathways. So this headline is how she's chosen to describe herself. This is by the work that she does and what it sounds to me like the impact that she would like to create. It's creative, it's original, it's succinct. Um, it's helpful to think about your work and what you offer any organization that you work with, uh, to think about it in a headline as something that can be easily read and understood. Um, so that's one thing that is super important to include in any online profile, in this case, LinkedIn. List your experience. So I am a believer that there's very rarely any experience that's not worth including. Um, Although if you are seeking a specific job, um, it's important to align your descriptions of your experience to that job that you are seeking. If you are seeking, I'm going to use this again, if you're seeking a creative designer job and you worked, this is not going to be a good example, and you worked at a coffee shop. Um, Try to incorporate some ways that maybe you were inspired by the coffee shop's brand, and are able to use that your environment in your graphic design work, and things like that. You want that to be catered, but however you choose to list it, list your experience. Um, and then your licenses and certifications. If you've done any other pipelines and pathways workshops or trainings, then you might have a nice list of licenses and certifications, but include those. And I shared that list of hard and soft skills with you just a few moments ago. List your skills as well. Endorsements are great if you can get them from people in your industry, but having a fully fleshed out profile, you don't want to leave your skills missing, but your experience is there, or vice versa. You want it fully fleshed out to show that you've taken the time to consider your work and package it in a way that employers can easily access and understand. Does that all make sense? Do we have any questions on how your LinkedIn profile should look or what should be included? Great, I'll keep moving. So once you've created your LinkedIn profile, then we get started on the connections, building connections. So this platform is super helpful in making intentional connections by allowing you to search for people, join groups relevant to your aspirations, and even attend a wide range of events, many of which are free and online, like this one. So when you sign into LinkedIn and navigate over to the People tab, you have probably experienced this where you see a whole grid of people that you do or don't know. And LinkedIn will cater this to your region, to your state, to your industry if you'd like. I definitely encourage you to toggle with those features and see who you connect with. Oftentimes, I end up running into folks who have a job that sounds super interesting to me with a title that I did not know existed, and that's exactly what I mean about just opening those doors that you didn't even know existed. Um, I think, well, what I hear from a lot of people that I work with on social media content is that LinkedIn can be intimidating because of its interface. You log in and it's just a lot of headlines and people and faces and hashtags kind of all right there at once. And then you see all these people with their professional headshots. It can be intimidating, um, but it does not have to be that way. I encourage you to treat it like any other platform, maybe not any other platform, maybe not X, but any of the good ones. I encourage you to approach it um, with the familiarity that you approach these other platforms that you are familiar with, and just put that hat on. You're approaching it as someone who, as a job seeker, you're approaching it as a volunteer, you're approaching it as somebody who wants to connect with more people in your industry, um, and just go from there. Your personal brand is who you are. Be confident in that, and just translate that to LinkedIn. So got that out of the way. I thought I saw some sweat beads forming, but LinkedIn is good. It's a good one. There's no need to be afraid of it. And so one of my favorite things about LinkedIn is your ability to search for keywords in your industry and connect with people, add groups, and explore jobs in your field. So when you search any term, you will be not flooded, you'll be flooded in a good way with jobs, posts that mention your keyword, people who have your keyword in their experiences and their headlines and their professional descriptions. You'll have the opportunity to join groups with those in your industry, and you can get as specific as you want. Like I said, if you want to look for graphic designers for educators specifically, I promise you there's a group for that. So that's another thing that I encourage you to play with. Type in any of your keyword interest or job titles that you've had or are seeking. And you'll find, I mean, a lot of your network in that search right there. And again, you can kind of cater those searches for people to your locality. So I encourage you to play with that one. You can also browse products that are popular for people in your field. Um, and one of the most important features is you can see the companies that often use your keywords. These are potential employers. You can see who's hiring this way. So I encourage you to use this search feature, use and abuse it. It's a great one. Questions on search and browsing LinkedIn? Good to go. Awesome. Beautiful. And so another online profile and popular one is Instagram. Raise of hands. Who's on Instagram? Cool. Cool. Thank you. Great. So Instagram is a little more comfortable than or casual, a little more casual than LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the professional social media platform. There's really nothing else quite like it that has those expectations. LinkedIn is cool because, I mean, excuse me, Instagram is cool because you can cater your account to exactly what you want and need it to be. It's somewhere where you can feel a little more free to combine your personal and professional brand. And I think part of that is just it's a photography app. So, and if you're being authentic to your personal brand, then you're going to include photos from your authentic life, however that shows up. You might be in a suit or in a blazer one day, and you might be with your family the next. That's when you really want to consider those values, what's important to you, and how you want to be perceived. As long as your content is something that you're comfortable sharing with a hiring manager, or your professional peers, I would say it's fair game. Instagram is just great to post things that you want other people to share as well. It's a great way to, if you have new services that you're offering, it's a great way to make connections. People can share it on their story. They can send it within Instagram. They can repost it on their own pages. So that's just a really great one to kind of combine that personal and professional branding. And I've used Nicole Hannah Jones's Instagram page as an example. Nicole Hannah Jones is a journalist and author. And so you can see here, I've included those same 4 key points that were included in the LinkedIn profiles. That's your headline. So she is a journalist. That's her title, that's her headline, that's what's directly under her name. So there's no question about what her role is professionally, and where her intentions lie. She's a journalist. So everything that you see will be under that lens, or has been posted through that lens and with that intention of sharing her work as a journalist, sharing her life as a journalist, sharing her views as a journalist, so on and so forth. So she has that headline. her experience is truncated, but still listed in her bio. Instagram has some character restrictions, so we just adjust where needed, but she still has that included. Another cool thing about Instagram is that you can tag. So you can tag the companies that you've worked with in your bio, in your posts. That for one helps just generate more views, especially because business pages, companies, organizations usually have bigger followings than individuals. Not always, but a lot of the time, just because they impact more people at a time. So I encourage you to do that as well. Instagram also lets you include a link. So I think it was Lori, you were asking about websites to display your work. That'd be a great place to put that. And you can include that on LinkedIn as well. If you do choose to make a website, I would encourage including that link anywhere where you have a headshot. Um, but if you don't have a website, you can use your LinkedIn. I personally don't have a website. I use my LinkedIn as kind of like my portfolio page. Um, and I think that works just fine. Like I said, that is the social platform, the social network, um, just across the board. So you can't really go wrong using that uh, as a portfolio or a way to share your work in a professional space. It's just a little hack if you're not ready to manage an entire website, which is a big to do. And finally, list your experience. So this is an opportunity for you to get, creative, cool and creative if that's your vibe. Nicole's top three posts are all from her work. So she's an author of the book 1619, or the 1619 Project, which is a book, podcast, all these good things, museum exhibition. Uh, Again, you come to her page, you see her name, you see that she's a journalist, you can read about, where she's completed her work, and then you can go right into seeing it. That's the goal. You want your profile to come across with your personality, absolutely. But you want it to be clear what you're doing here. If you're a journalist or a graphic designer, that's something that people should be able to see. And even if it's not in your top three posts, it should be in your top six, in your top two rows. Same thing with LinkedIn. Um, I kind of glazed over it, but Claudio made uh, an excellent point. He said he shares content from Pipelines and Pathways. That is still his work. Same thing with Elijah. That is still their work. Um, so if you're running low on pictures or you forgot to take a picture of a cool project that you worked on, but you saw it featured in an article or another organization posted it, share that. I definitely encourage you to share that. Take a screenshot and repost it with your own caption. It's all good content. So we want to keep consistent with any online profile. You need a headline. You want to list your experience, add your credentials. I have listed your experience twice. I'm not entirely sure why, but create a headline, list your experience, and add your credentials. So hashtags are a little taboo these days, but they still do work, I promise. I know they're kind of annoying to see sometimes at the bottom of a post. This generation is very into aesthetics, and they are not aesthetically pleasing, but they are super helpful tools for connecting with folks who share your interests, and in this case, folks who are in your industry. If you have a niche, a hashtag is a great way to kind of narrow down that search. If I search journalist on hashtag journalist on Instagram right now, I'm going to see at least 1 million posts. If I search hashtag nature journalists, I'm gonna see a couple tens of thousands fewer. If I search bear nature journalist, now we're really finding folks in our realm, in our network, folks that we want to be connected with. I'm interested in bear nurture nature journalism. And now I've found, 200 posts of people that I can follow. I can see what hashtags they're using. Um, and I can start to make those connections there. And it can be a fun way to do it too. Instagram, like I said, is one of those places where people are creative, but on any platform, LinkedIn uses hashtags, Facebook uses hashtags, X uses hashtags. They all do. So these kind of hashtag tidbits go across the board. And so there are different kinds of hashtags to be mindful of using and searching. So there are hashtags that for products that describe a service or product and are typically a few words in length. An individual that offers pest control services would include pest control in all of their posts because consistency is key. There are daily posts. These are a little more trendy, but they give you access to a bigger audience when you participate in them. So we've all seen a motivational Monday, a transformation Tuesday, a way back Wednesday, a throwback Thursday, a flashback Friday. There you go, Claudio. Exactly. And those are just a few of like the most popular ones. I think since Instagram was created. Those have been going around and they are still with us. So those are great and ones that I suggest including in your posts, especially if you're new to establishing your online brand. It's just a good way to get some more attention. It's a fun way to engage in trends, and you can still keep this true to the professional message that you're trying to send. You can do a way back Wednesday from a job that you worked and truly enjoyed. Shout out the mentors, supervisors, peers that you worked with. Keep that connection open and show future connections that you care about maintaining those connections. Location, especially being in Charlottesville, this is a relatively small region, at least professionally, socially. It's a pretty tight-knit community. So including Charlottesville, Albemarle County, UVA, if that's relevant to if the university is relevant to your work, in your post, is just another way to narrow down that search, narrow down the people that find you, and ensure that there's some alignment with the connections that you're making. Acronyms, that's kind of similar to the daily ones. It's a fun one. It's a relatable one. WFH for work from home became incredibly popular in 2020 when we were all home during the pandemic. And that's one that's really maintained its popularity because that's a lifestyle, so to speak, that more and more people are relating to. So again, that's just another way to show how your professional life is a little personal too. It's just another connection to make. All these connections don't strictly have to be based on your career or your goals, but they should be rooted in them. And I can explain that a little bit more. If your goal is to become the lead, here we go with this example again, graphic designer for educators in the region. If that is your goal, it still makes plenty of sense to uh, connect with a teacher's workshop, maybe a planning session or something like that that's hosted for teachers in that area. You're networking, but you're still going out of your way to make a connection that will probably start as personal. So I hope that makes sense. And then just kind of simple industry hashtags if you're a small business, if you're a woman-owned business, if you're a Black-owned business, and these are things that you're comfortable sharing online. If you're a woman in tech or STEM, if I'm running out of them, but if you fit into kind of any of those pots, include that. Again, another way to narrow down that search and connect with people not just in your industry, but who are working in ways that are similar to you, and maybe running into similar challenges, or celebratory moments that you can kind of connect on. So include those as well. Following hashtags is another cool thing to do that you're able to do on most of these platforms. Forgive me, Instagram actually just took away the feature like last week. But you can still stay up to date on Instagram hashtags, Twitter hashtags. Twitter will actually show you what's trending in the US and the world, and I believe in your region. But Facebook and LinkedIn allow you to actually follow the hashtag, um, which is one of my favorite features on LinkedIn as well. In the same way that you want to follow companies that are posting good tips for your industry, for your position, following those hashtags to keep up with the conversation, keep current on studies that are being done in your field, on trends that are popping up in your field, maybe common challenges that people are running into. Um, it's just a real great way to find folks who are already discussing the things that are relevant to you and engage in that conversation to kind of deepen those connections. So some common mistakes, or actually, sorry, I feel like I might have gone through that a little quickly. Do we have any questions on hashtags tagging before I move on? Great, thank you. Yes, Lori, there is so Lori said some people have feasible work goals for a site, but their online history is not professional. Is there a way that they can conceal prior posts? Yes. Um, all these platforms allow you to delete or archive posts. Instagram, you can archive a post. I know some people have sentimental value, but they're ready to, rebrand till they don't quite want to delete. Totally understandable. You can archive your posts though. Um, and I will actually drop a reference link just for that. Thank you, Lori. That's a great, great question. Okay. I'll remember to share. I just made a note to share all these with the other materials that I share with Holly at the end of the call. Thanks, Lori. So some common mistakes to avoid as you're establishing your online brand, or just maintaining it, is inconsistent branding. So you want it to be easy to find you. I always think about what pops up when I Google my first and last name. And you really do have control over that. Now, unless you are more famous than maybe I've realized, or unless you are popular among local media or anything like that, um, if any of those are not the case, then you have almost complete control of what appears when you search your first and last name. Um, I don't see any super common names on this call, so shout out to your parents. So, when you search your name, it should be exactly what you want it to be. You want the headshot that you primed yourself for and went and got done and ensured was high resolution. You want your name to be spelled correctly and listed exactly as you like it. If you want your first name, middle initial, last name, then that should be your username on all platforms. If you just want it your first initial and your last name, make that your username on all of your platforms. Yeah, so that should just be consistent. Your profile picture should also be consistent. You want to use the same headshot, or at least from the same session, but I would just suggest using the same headshot in general. A lot of times people are moving quickly, especially if they're doing a Google search on your name. You're probably about to have a meeting or something like that. So you want it to be easy for them to, kind of skim the page. Oh, that's Claudio. I saw his picture on LinkedIn too. Or his name is spelled the same way. I know that's him for a fact. That can't be a different person. His headline is exactly the same as it is on Facebook and LinkedIn. You want that to be consistent. So there's no confusion. And again, just to send the message that you've really cared and taken the time to tailor your online profile to something that is important to you and reads well with employers. They want to know that the people that they hire will represent them well. So being able to research you as an extension of an organization or a company and see that consistent messaging that that company is probably striving for as well, is a super great sign before you even get the call for an interview. So unprofessional content, that's why I'm glad that Lori asked the question about people's online history not being professional. And that doesn't even mean that it's bad or derogatory in any way. That's just you might have some pictures with silly faces. You might have some pictures from 2012 on that old Android that just gotta go, you know. Not bad, still showing that you're a person, but you know, you wanna clean it up a little bit. Um, I always encourage that. I am the queen of archiving my posts. My friends can't stand it, but I have to maintain my brand. But I archive them so we can still go back and laugh, you know. But yeah, you want to just post content, and I think I said this earlier, post content that you'd be comfortable sharing with the hiring manager. Um, if you don't want a potential employer to see it, or if you have that doubt in your mind, um, I don't do it. Send it in a group chat, so you can laugh or uh, you scratch that itch. But if you don't want somebody professional to see it, somebody that you may work with in the future to see it, then I would just suggest not posting it. And keep it current. So earlier I asked you how often you post. I know Elijah said once a month. That's great. Um, and even that, might not be a schedule that's easy for you to maintain with all the other things that you have to do. I know social media just falls lower and lower on the list. But whether it's quarterly, whether it's monthly, you can kind of do a hybrid strategy between Elijah's and Claudio's. You can have one original post a month and then find one or two posts that relate to your field in between. And you can repost them. And that's same as you repost on Facebook. Click of a share button. You're still keeping it current. So we're not going to your page and seeing that the last post was from 2 years ago. Because then it looks like you haven't been working when people are looking at your page from that lens. Um, we know that that's not usually the case. If anything, if you haven't posted on LinkedIn, it's likely because you're working. But we just want the page to keep that messaging and keep it current, keep it consistent. It doesn't have to be overkill. Certainly doesn't have to be every day. I think once a quarter is great to start if it's something that's kind of intimidating to you or something that you're warming yourself up to. Um, yeah, when I start new positions or when I start volunteering with new organizations, I'll slip that in there. There's no news that's too small, especially when it comes to your career, your professional development. Case in point, this workshop today, if that's something that you'd like to share on LinkedIn, I would encourage you to. It shows that you're working on your professional development, that you're taking steps to continue growing, and that you care about your personal brand. Um, so I feel like a lot of us kind of jump into great meetings and opportunities like this, and then forget that it's news that is relevant to somebody who's looking for an employee just like you. So, I've been talking for a while, um, and we've talked about what different social media platforms should look like, what your profiles, excuse me, should look like. Um, But I want to know what stands out to you kind of organically when you see posts on any of the platforms. What stands out to you? Is it the images? Is it the language that they use? Is it the hashtags? Is it a set of emojis? What pops out to you? And furthermore, what makes you want to engage, like, comment, subscribe?
For
Yeah.
me, it's the images, because I'm a visual person. And so it's if an image and it has to be like an image of something that's real, like a real person. a real puppy dog. That's what really pops out to me. But so you'll see with our pipeline stuff, we always try to like post pictures of real people who are participating in our events, who just got a job, who are, you know, but I don't read as much, but if I see a picture, then I'll read it.
Great. Anyone else want to share? What stands out to you when you're scrolling on social media? What kind of makes you stop? Lori said images make her look first, and she also looks for bold colors in the images. So
Oh,
no, go ahead, Claudia.
oh, sorry. Thank you.
Mhm.
I'm a video person. As soon as I see a video, I'm stopping to watch it. I'm taking my 5 seconds to see if I'm interested in it. If not, scrolling to the next.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a common one these days, especially just with TikTok, Instagram Reels. Yeah, I know. Um, Great, but those so Lori, Holly, and Claudio all said different versions of the same thing that catches their attention. It's uh a pretty physical reaction. It's the things that literally jump out to you. Um, the things that literally make your brain pause from whatever it was thinking about and draw your attention in. And there's a reason that the two platforms that I showed you, LinkedIn and Instagram, are very photo heavy. Instagram is entirely a photo app. But LinkedIn is very photo heavy. You will see most posts include images, and it's for that very reason. You want to give people a reason to stop. And Holly, thank you so much for using pipelines and pathways in your example, because pipelines does use pictures from their events, their trainings, and that's such a that's a much more powerful, impactful, and authentic message in itself than including stock images. I know sometimes we want to just make a post pretty, we've gotten the words down, we're confident in that, but we don't have a personal picture to go with it. And I would say sending or posting a text only post is better than using stock images. Um, and there are some habitual LinkedIn posters who would not like to hear me say that. But from what I've seen, I mean, the posts with real images do better than posts with stock images. And posts without images, they do just fine. Just use your hashtags. Great. Thank you so much. So these are important things to include in your own posting and in your day-to-day. I mean, it might not be for some of you it might be, and that's great, but it might not be a super organic thing to pull out your phone or pull out a camera while you're working, totally understandably. But try to just start to train yourself to keep those moments in mind. um, if you're working on a project that you're very excited about, and it's going well, or um, just being excited about it is enough to share it online. So in that process, because usually, these projects or things that we have to do are not just one day things. So try to think about opportunities to capture that moment. And that can be a picture of you and your peers, or of your peers at a meeting table. That could be you or a peer in front of a slideshow on a screen. Don't overthink it. Really capturing the moment is what people like to see. We get so used to the day to day of our own jobs and our own responsibilities that they start to feel less unique than they are, but you are the only person who does what you do. So it's always super cool to see behind the scenes, what that looks like for folks. And, to see you being proud enough to post it and confident enough in your personal and professional brand to share that, um, it goes a long way. Great. I just want to be mindful of time. It's fine with you guys. We have 13 minutes left, and I want to leave time for questions. Let's see. Just bear with me. Okay. So content creation and sharing. establishing yourself as a professional in your field. This is all that we've been talking about. But these are things to keep in mind as you are intentionally creating and sharing content that speaks to who you are as a professional. This helps set the tone for future posts. And as I mentioned, include the relevant hashtags. It will pay off. I feel like we covered this pretty well. And like I said, I want to leave time for questions. So I'm going to skip forward a little bit. Okay. So we discussed some tools, some helpful tools for you to use getting started with your strategy and with your schedule. I use schedule lightly. So Meta is the parent company for Facebook and Instagram. Forgive my eye roll. It's the parent company for Facebook and Instagram. Meta Business Suite is actually very easy to use, super accessible, and lets you post to Facebook and Instagram at the same time. So if you have a Facebook account, you have a Meta account. If you have an Instagram account, you have access to Meta in the same way. These allow you to schedule posts 90 days in advance, which I know for me personally has helped relieve some of the stress when it comes to trying to post things in real time. Um, or as you're in a busy season and you want to capture the moment or project that you're working on. Being able to schedule those posts out, I think, allows you to sit down and really reflect on the message you want to be sending, maybe the news that you have coming up and how you want to maybe prep for that or tease that. Um, but it's nice to do something every 90 days and then kind of watch it generate engagement and just follow it like that instead of having to do it in real time. So that is Meta Business Suite. As I said, you can create a posting schedule. And as you see relevant hashtags and hashtags that are relevant to you and your goals, you can save those on Meta. So I think that's just a really cool thing to keep track of because hashtags are a dime a dozen and it's so easy to forget these keywords and what's popular and all those good things. Oh, man. Okay. Well, I will share. I don't know what happened to my slide on Wix, but I do want to address Lori's question because I told you I would be addressing it. Wix.com is a platform that allows you to create free websites, and you can use their templates to do so. You can also purchase the website if you'd like to down the line, which I think is great. But these are really great for getting started. You'll have a domain that looks something like this is sydneyschuler.wixsite.com. It's just as good. It's still yours. And you can start to build those out. So if you want to use that as a place to blog about, your career and how it's progressed and how it's still progressing and the things that you've learned, that's great. If you want to use your website as simply a portfolio, headshot, title, this is what I create. You can do that as well. You can use that as a place to link out to the organizations that you've worked with, give you some credibility there. The world is kind of your oyster with Wix, and Wix has a lot of great and intuitive how-to videos. Weebly's also a great one. Thank you so much, Holly. Weebly's also a great and beginner-friendly free website platform. And that's I think there are some industries that call for a personal website more than others. When I was a reporter, I had articles all over the place. So I liked to use a website to kind of keep them in one place. I'm not a reporter anymore, as we see. So I just use my LinkedIn. My articles are still on LinkedIn, but I just I don't need to manage a whole other platform. But depending on what your goals are, that could be a great option for you. Um, so to each their own, and I'd be happy to talk to anybody about that more if you'd like, or connect on that some more. Um, and you always just want to engage with your audience. I mentioned this with the keyword searches on LinkedIn, but on your own post, if people comment on your post, you always want to comment back. That just gets your post more eyes, more comments, gets more views. Um, and it shifts the algorithm to show more people your content because the algorithm knows that you're going to engage with it. The less you engage, the less views you get. So no, if you go on LinkedIn and scroll and see on every post, every comment has been responded to with a very polite, "Thank you, Sydney. Thank you, Sydney." That's for a reason. It's because the poster knows that that's going to help with their engagement. Like I said before, don't be afraid to share your own timely content. You can reshare your timely content with a message. You can share your organization's content. I play with this one a lot. Sometimes make content for the Equity Center and the President's Council on UVA community partnerships. And by the end of the day, I don't have words for myself. But I do know that the Equity Center has some great content that I can share, that the President's Council does, that Pipelines and Pathways has some great content that I can share that's still relevant to my work. So whatever you share, just keep it relevant. If you find a cool how-to for something relevant to your industry, share that, and that's your post for the day, and you've done great. Pat yourself on the back. Don't overthink it. Okay. Great. So just to wrap and I'm sorry that I'm going fast. I just feel like I have time is going fast, and I want to leave time for questions. But just to recap, how to get started with establishing your personal brand online. First, identify it, which you all did beautifully earlier this afternoon. Identify your personal brand. Those are those values, keywords that you use to describe yourself, but also want people to use to describe you. Create a plan. Create a plan to establish your brand. Um, what platforms you'd like to use to do so. How often and who you'd like to build your network with. Discover new tools and new networks through the through the search engines that I showed you earlier. And post. Again, don't overthink it. Post your updates, post your wins, post the things that you've learned, post the folks that you're excited and grateful to work with. Just post and keep it relevant. And finally, engage, interact with, and grow your audience. This is really kind of where the magic happens. You continue interacting with those people. A like turns into a comment turns into a message turns into a Zoom call, and now you're at a conference on the other side of the country presenting as an expert in your field. Just kind of play the long game with those. They can be worth your while. And thank you so much for being here today and listening to me chat about something that I love. Thank you so much.
This was great. Thank you so much. I love this topic in particular. So very lots of new things to think about. Does anyone have any final questions before we end? Okay, well, if not, I just want to extend a big thank you to Sydney for her time today, her expertise. So exciting, lots of good ideas to take away. Of course, to any of you all who need any assistance with this or helping find employment at the University of Virginia, feel free to reach out to Pipelines and Pathways. We'll definitely send you all a link to this recording, and Sydney is going to give us the presentation and some other links, and I'll include those in that email. So that should come in a couple days if you don't get it today. But if you have any questions, definitely feel free to reach out to us. Thank you again so much, and we hope you will join us for some of our upcoming trainings and workshops that we have. So thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.